Okay, New York Times, just going off the cuff here, saw the tweet, thought I would get my 2 cents in with no read-through beforehand, just taking it as it is. Donald Trump, this is from the New York Times, writer, does it say? Andrew Harnick? Donald Trump says he will be announcing his running mate selection within a few days, almost certainly by Friday. For all the suspense, manufactured or otherwise, Trump claims it won't matter. History has said nobody ever helps. He told Chris Silzia of the Washington Post on Monday. He is mostly right. No running mate has proved decisive in a presidential election since Lyndon Johnson helped John F. Kennedy carry Texas in 1960. But precedent has proved a cruel mistress in 2016, so really, who knows? Either way, Trump's sidekick will immediately step into one of the most difficult roles any running mate has ever assumed. Really? Really? I would relish the opportunity. This, like so many things in 2016, is a serre generis, I don't know, is that French? Trump phenomenon. No nominee in memory has offended more people than Trump has while seeming to care so little about it. No nominee has spitballed so extravagantly about what he might do as a president without providing details or fearing contradictions, sometimes by himself, within the space of a few sentences. Really? Okay. In a tonal sense, no nominee has so defied conventional norms of decency as Trump, while being so loath to apologize for any of it. All of which is about to drop onto the shoulders of whoever finds him or herself on stage next to Trump. You can understand why so many potentially attractive number twos, Rubio, Corker, Ernst, Haley, have sprinted in the opposite direction rather than have Trump consider them for this mission. The people who seem to crave the job are the most are not exactly your rising star types. The likes of Chris Christie and Newt Gingrich would seem to have little to lose. Who less happy these days about Christie being governor of New Jersey? Christie or New Jersey? Fellow short-lister Mike Pence, the Indiana governor who nearly ran for president himself, has been damaged by his widely panned handling of the state's controversial religious freedom law. Being Trump's running mate could actually be his easiest path to rehabilitation and national profile. The tallest challenge for our lucky contestant will be to simply answer questions, hard questions, probably starting Sunday with one or more series of rollout interviews. The inquisitors will come in ornery. Trump has been toying with them for months. He has shown a maddening ability to duck and bluster and filibuster and falsify his way through even the most pointed interrogations, not to mention offend his interrogators' well-tended egos by not always bothering to show up in person for their conversation. I wouldn't either. It's such a double standard. Hillary gets a free pass. Softball all the way, every time. And Donald Trump's done nothing wrong except run for president, put up his own money, sacrifice a great deal of loss to revenue because of it, suffer unfair, demonization, just all across the board. He gives the specifics because Drew and I got the book out of the library. So he has a specific plan, okay? But he's not giving any specifics. Hillary has a plethora of platform issues and things she's running on, but she has so many so that she's never will have to be held accountable to any of them. and they're so abstract and there's no way to benchmark or there's no way to make it specific that, she'll never have to be held accountable for not fulfilling anything, not accomplishing anything. It's just such a shim-sham, but okay, here we go. Okay, the running mate, the presumed pro, the straight man, will be on the hook for all of this. Or maybe not. Rest assured, the whole Mr. Trump will make great deals. Trust me, explanation will not work for Deputy Dog. Mr. Trump won't share his plans because he does not want to tip off our adversaries. No shit, Sherlock. But that won't fly either. This is the full political Pottery Barn. The moment when Trump's running mate is handed the bill for a year's worth of smashed merchandise. Boy, isn't that, that's some leaps there, buddy. Nice figurative language. You have to figure that the Sunday crew already has the questions drawn up for some of Trump's perspectives. Governor Christie, you've praised Mr. Trump for his judgment. Does this include his observation back in December that you totally knew about those lane closings on George Washington Bridge? Speaker Gingrich, you and Trump have had 6 wives between you. What makes you think this marriage can work? Oh boy. That's so illuminating compared to Hillary. Is it true that you're a female domestic abuser in your relationship? Is it true that while you say that you're a champion for women, that predominantly throughout most of your husband's extracurricular affairs, and some of them being downright rapes of other women, that you sought out to not allow those women to have dignity, or not to have dealt with your husband's issues, but know that you sought out to destroy each and every single one of the women that dared to speak up, to shut them up, to not have them get in the way of your ambition and all out, no matter what, desire to seek power, whatever the cost.
You studied your shit, huh?
Other questions are more generic and ready-made for whoever takes the job. Here's a lucky 13 free of charge. Okay, have at it. Do you agree with Mr. Trump's statement that John McCain, who spent 5.5 years as a POW in Vietnam, should not be considered a hero because he was captured? Should Mr. Trump apologize for this remark, given all the veterans he offended? Also, please explain how Mr. Trump himself was able to avoid capture during the Vietnam War. Okay, well, in lieu of having any context, I guess I could hit the hyperlink to the statement. But if you want my short answer, I don't think that it is of any benefit to answer this question one way or another. This is one of those trap type questions. This is a loaded question that no matter which way I answer it, it's going to be used against me. Now, so let me say this. John McCain, as a member of our military that was captured in a POW, that is an extraordinary experience that it takes a strong individual to to not only survive, but overcome. And it looks like he overcame that. And I'm not questioning what the definition of a hero is, but I will just say that that is the example of someone with a strong will to live, to overcome. And God bless him. And glory be to God that he survived and has the story to tell to inspire us all. Should Donald Trump apologize for any statement or comment that he made? That's up to Mr. Trump. But I don't want Mr. Trump going around telling anybody what he thinks I should or should not apologize for. I think that he's an adult, I'm an adult, and we're fully capable to have control over what we say or what we don't say. And so if he said something, I'm going to respect that he said it for a reason, and if he chooses to apologize for it, then I'll respect that as well. But that's not my decision to make. And I don't think that's the type of questions we should be asking when giving this opportunity anyway. Because then I could sit there and say, how many different times do I think Hillary Clinton should have apologized for something that she said? Or President Obama. I mean, the list could go on and on. How about my parents for a time or two? Or maybe my children. Maybe it's my children. I'm more concerned about them and their statements and whether or not they should apologize after the fact. That's what a parent does. But other than that, you know, we're all adults here. And then, please explain how Mr. Trump himself was able to avoid capture during the Vietnam War. Well, considering I was just a babe, just a knee-high to a grasshopper, I really wasn't in the know or on the scene to tell one way or another how anybody was captured or avoided capture. If I was at the present time that the Vietnam War was happening, I probably would have been more vocal about the false flag of the Vietnam War than who or who wasn't captured and why. Okay, should Mr. Trump apologize to the reporter whose disability he appeared to mimic and mock at a campaign event in November? Here we go. Here, am I being interviewed about whether or not I am qualified to be vice president, or that this gives you an opportunity to get a little bit more familiar with my style, my approach, my view of the world, what my ideology, you know, where I stand on matters of great national importance? Or am I sitting here to be interviewed so you guys can have a little tit-for-tat party on the apology tour? I think Obama did enough apologizing for other individuals all this year when he was going around the world apologizing for America to our, well, not our most closest allies. I mean, going to places like Vietnam and setting up some hinky, unfair trade deals. Meanwhile, all the while, apologizing for America and whatever we may have done in the past. So, no, I am not going to, this is your second attempt, but no, I am not going to play the little, let's talk behind each other's back routine where I am armchair quarterbacking somebody else's comments, so that you can no matter what I say, it be used against me or against my running mate or against anybody else that is on the Trump train for the White House. I'm not going to play the game. And, you know, your reporters do a lot of your little stuff anyway. So without being privy to the details, I don't think that that's a question that really, you know, I mean, this is your top 13. Trump's campaign slogan is "Make America Great Again." I know, isn't that wonderful? That is just so simple and so, but yet isn't it just working? When do you think America was last great? If it's not so great now, which country is greater? Well, I like this one. I think America was last great during the term of the great communicator, my hero, and who I hope to model after. But I think America was indeed great during President Reagan's tenure and under his stewardship. And I could probably fill up the rest of the time you have allotted for the remaining questions, speaking on all of the reasons why I believe America was great under President Reagan. But for now, I'll sum it up with just about in every single way you can think of. And why I think it is so parallel to what we have happening now is that, look at the situation. We had the Carter years, and we had an America in decline. America with not a whole lot of faith in itself. We had a lot of strife between one group of American with another group of American. We economically, in foreign affairs, we were in a lot of trouble. So that we can see as we parallel to the situation we have now. It's a perfect slogan, because making America great again, just like we did it before. We did it then, and we can do it now. Which country do I think is greater right now? Believe it or not, I am really impressed with Russia, which again, I think that is a beautiful, blossoming continuation of what was started under President Reagan and Mr. Gorbachev back then. That really, when you look at it, Russia is more emulating what America used to be now than we are as ourselves. I see more in President Putin similarities of President Reagan. Mr. Putin is leading with strength, just like President Reagan did back in the day. So I'm very impressed with Russia. They are out there showing the rest of the world what true leadership looks like. And I hope that once we have a change from the Obama administration into a Trump administration, that we can completely backtrack and hopefully we haven't already ended up in a world war by the time we are taking the oath. But heaven forbid. But if God willing, and Mr. Putin, though he does not want to, he's not getting involved, he's not, as he wouldn't want the United States engaging in his country's political campaigns or elections. He is refraining from engaging in, our political process. But I think that he's made the statement that he will not be too pleased, and that he will be not squeamish that he will proceed with war if Hillary Clinton becomes the president, but that I think that he is relieved that Trump is a possibility, and I think that he may hold out as best he can and be as patient as he can if nothing pops off, that he has no other choice, and wait for the change of the guard, so to speak, and be very welcoming to establishing a whole new relationship with the United States, and that maybe we can exist in the leadership role to do what is right, not only for our two countries respectively, but for the world as a whole. Do you agree with Mr. Trump's statement that he loves waterboarding and thinks it's great? Well, I don't know that I love any, torture in any respect, but if I'm just taking a guess at it, I would maybe love waterboarding over beheading. Or I would love waterboarding over stoning someone. Or I would love waterboarding over throwing someone off the side of a building to their death. I don't know. Those are just a few, if I had to pick. But I'm not too fond of any of it. But I think the degree on the level of severity, waterboarding, beheading. So maybe I would agree with him loving waterboarding over chopping people's heads off or blowing innocent people up. Maybe I'd love that over innocent people being blown up out of nowhere for nothing that they did wrong, especially little children on an Easter Sunday. So I guess I would love waterboarding over little children being blown up while they try to celebrate Easter Sunday. Going. Can you promise that before the end of your first term, a 2,000-mile wall will be under construction along the southern border of the United States? Can I promise that? Well, yes, I can. If Mr. Trump, who is a kind of guy that gets stuff done, has been very successful at developing real estate and real estate ventures, and since it's pretty much a mandate from the American people going into it, and that I think that once we get the ball rolling, that Mexico will be fully on board, because I think a lot of the Mexicans, not only Mexican Americans on our side, but also actual Mexicans are pretty hip with the idea of protecting our sovereignty, and doing so by having borders that are enforceable. If there's a big wall that you can't get around, or you just can't walk across, it's just open, then I think that has been, as I've seen thus far, one of the biggest supporting rally cry. And when you hear the people that are supporting the Trump campaign, a lot of them are all vocalizing the wall. So I am not going to let the American people down. If I say I'm going to do something, then I don't say it half cocked, so to speak. Yeah, I don't come out there, just like Hillary Clinton, just to see what gets me a vote in this place or the other, and not worried about the follow through. No, if we make that commitment or that pledge or that promise, and we are elected because the people are saying I second, then we must get it done. And if that's the only thing that we get done, then job well done. Because I'm under the notion that the less government does, the better. I'm quite happy when they're doing nothing. Usually that means they're not spending as much of the taxpayers' money. Okay. Next question. Mr. Trump has said he will force the Mexican government to pay for this wall. How exactly will your administration compel Mexico to do this? Oh, well, I think we have a few little pieces of leverage or a few cards to play in that respect. But in the effort at making it successful, I'm not going to step on my partner's toes and speak out of turn. We're not even president yet, so we're not even in a position to make any of those deals. So when we're elected and that becomes the actual national issue of the day and that you guys can spend all day talking about, then go ahead, call me back for an interview. And when I have the okay to disclose those issues with you, or what that plan is, I'll be more than happy to do so. Mr. Trump has said that he would create a deportation force for the purpose of relocating undocumented immigrants beyond the wall. How will this work, and how will it be funded? Well, let's just say that we'll take what laws we already have on the books that said that, you've already defined the individual as an undocumented illegal immigrant. So must have a law or something that is backing that statement up. So I'm just going to take that law. I'll probably read a little bit further down the page and see what the enforcement of that law is. What do I have the ability to do in order to enforce that law? Because I bet you if I just started there, we would already be 100 times better than we are now, because under the current administration, not only do they not enforce these laws, they are sidestepping our immigration laws and creating their own little immigration legislation unconstitutionally and enforcing it their own way. I mean, I think this has been a very, 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 very good topic for you, the press, report, anybody. If you would just stop, once we finish this interview, please take this question and use it as a point of inspiration. And then go ask Mr. Obama this question. And go look up all these immigration laws yourself and see what the enforcement jurisdiction is. How, what can we do, what's currently on the books, before we reinvent the wheel? Why don't we see what we already got on the books? And why don't you go see where Mr. Obama is not, let's see, relocating undocumented immigrants, and where is all the funding that we're currently funding for this? Where's all that money going now, currently? Do you agree with Mr. Trump's statement that the Republican presidential candidates who pledged to support the party nominee but who have yet to endorse Mr. Trump himself should never be allowed to run for public office again? Well, not if they turn around. I mean, I'm not too happy with the Republican Party myself, and I've been a card-carrying Republican for my entire adult life. The first election that I ever voted for president was in 1992. The Clinton, oh goodness. Was it Bush? Yeah, I guess so. And I voted Republican. I've voted Republican for majority. I mean, if you might want to go back and listen to one of my little podcast Radio Dawn Day segments, that Drew and I made in spring. But that was sort of a big issue of mine, was that I'm a little disappointed that the Republican Party has decided that now they're all hung up on specifics. I mean, we were running lackluster candidates for almost over 20 years. And it was like, gotta vote Republican, because, if we didn't, then the Democrats would gain control, and that was an option that we couldn't afford to take, because we had to hold down the fort until somebody came along in the Republican ranks that was like another Reagan. I mean, if you did talk radio like I did talk radio all these years, I mean, that was a running theme. We'd always vote Republican, because we couldn't not vote Republican, because we had to hold down the fort and not let too many Democrats get control and really screw things up, and just hold out and have faith. And most of the time, the Republicans that we elected would fall flat when it came time to stand up for conservative values, or to stand up. They always were a disappointment, and then we'd all get on the phone and cry the blues, because why do we even keep voting for? They're no better than blah. And we all had to kind of like, I know, but just hold it, keep the faith. And there'll be that shining Republican that will come along one of these days, And then when he comes along, he being Mr. Trump, and not only just is a revitalizes not even not just the base, not just the Republican base, but is getting people across all walks of life and color. And I mean, you just have to watch any one of his rallies and be inspired, and the number of people that are showing up, and you're getting people that have never voted are going, and you have people that have been disillusioned and are voting now, and they're not even voting, they're waving the flag and the hat and the, it's like, hey, the whole Republican Party, leaders and all, the whole dang party should be going, yes, finally. But no, he's not from these, and now you guys are all hung up on the specifics. After all lackluster candidate after defeat, now we actually have a contender who is just, changing the whole, is making it exciting. And you guys want to turn your back on it just because, it's not one run, Well, get a clue, guys. You know, if Trump's working and you're not, get a clue. You might just get passed right on by. You might miss out on being a part of history. You know, so no, we ain't going over and, oh, we gotta get you guys involved. No, you either get on the Trump train or get left behind. Maybe we start a whole new party. Bet you we can. Mr. Trump was perhaps the most vocal proponent of a suspicion that President Obama was not born in the United States. Are you convinced Obama was born in Hawaii, as he has repeatedly said, and as records have shown? Do you believe Mr. Trump's time and devotion to this issue was constructive? Oh, absolutely. Yes, indeed. So glad Mr. Trump was on the forefront, doing things before we're doing things, making things an important issue before it becomes an important issue, because certainly is a very important issue now, isn't it? Because we are finding out that the so-called records are doctored. They're not real. So that means if you're producing a document so vital as your birth certificate and it's not the real thing, then what conclusion do we draw? Then that means you weren't born in the United States. That means you were never eligible to be president in the first place. That means you pulled a scam on the American people from Jump Street. Because I'm sure you yourself, Mr. Obama, knows one way or another where the heck you were born. So that means there was a conspiracy to conceal the truth. So that means we got a lot. Oh, look what just happened. I think a winner. I think Dante. Hey.
You know your shit, girl. We're gonna rock them all. We are.
Getting excited for this road trip.
Fucking right, I am.
Drew, once we got to the Obama, it was, am I going to question my running mate, pretending I'm running as VP? The first 13 questions they're going to ask. Didn't even read them ahead of time. Just went for it, recorded it, and Miss Victoria is my witness to say it was live and unscripted. I didn't even pause or turn anything off or even look at the questions or stop to look at the answers, right? Or put my finger to the wind. And we got maybe halfway or so, maybe, and asking about the Obama birthing question. And look what they did. They whited out the article on me. Like they know that it's against the law, and now they're saying tried to borrow Don's brain, can't handle it.
They got right now, man. Right from her, she knows our secret
danger,
now.
Danger. Did someone get a little scared? Did someone have to back out?
Her computer off, man.
Back out! Back out! Stop, Don! Stop!
You're killing them.
No shit, huh?